Good morning, good midday, good afternoon. Today we'll do a scene for the Elwod Vampire venue, New York. Um, Elizabeth just entered the bunker yesterday, and after a good night's rest, she is going to search for this William character that Isaac has referred her to. And she will start her search by going to one of the common areas where a lot of congregate. Um, she walks into this open room and she looks around.
Um, you will see on the ground next to a it looks like some type of board, and you'll see a man with some type of implement in his hand. He seems to be, if you understand the term, soldering some pieces to a board
Yes,
and
basically.
messing. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think with academics 3, she'll know what that is.
Yeah, you'll see him soldering some things to a circuit board and messing with some LEDs, and he seems to be focused on his work. He doesn't seem to take much notice of your presence.
Mm. Um, she will walk towards the first kindred that she sees, who is this old man, and she'll say, "Excuse me, could you please help me?"
Uh, the person will look up and see the woman in front of him. Hmm. Well, this is a new face. How can I help you?
And she smiles. I'm searching for someone by the name of William. Isaac told me that I could find him somewhere in this vicinity.
Hmm. Well, Isaac has told you correctly. That is I.
Oh, well, pleasure to meet you. My name is Elizabeth Walker, and I'm a neonate of Clanless.
You hearing that, you'll see William twitch a little bit, but he'll stick out his hand and goes, "Like I'm William." Goes like, "I said, member of the Camarilla," and puts out his hand, the one without the soldering implement.
And she'll shake his hand happily.
So, pleasure to meet you. Now, I am curious. Most people don't. Well, actually, people have been looking for me a lot recently, but Isaac asked you to see me specifically. What for?
He said that out of all the people, you would know the best way for me to put my skills and aptitudes to the best use.
Then, what are the skills that you have learned to master, my dear lady?
She smiles at you when you say, "Dear lady." Well, my sire educated me on kindred lore, so um, I would say that I know more than most of the other kindred do. Apart from that, I have had um, a thorough education, and my profession is a surgeon, which explains the thorough education.
Hmm. He brightens hearing that. Ah, and the person who studies medicine, I could actually use some lessons for that. I need to increase my knowledge on that. I have a cursory knowledge, but right now, as he kind of points with his soldering implement to the board, you haven't know anything about electronics.
She shakes her head. I know how to use them, but I don't know how to put them together.
Alrighty. What I'm working on is I'm creating a network. He starts kind of pointing near the walls and certain parts of the bunker, and you'll see actually wiring on the wall. Being It's a little bit difficult to see. It's definitely meant to kind of blend in, but it's obviously if you take a hard look, you'll notice, you know, what's
Aspect
zip
one.
locks and stuff of that nature.
Mm.
I'm creating a electronic network of sensors to better make us aware of people coming in the bunker. Right now, throughout part the mazes to get to this place, there are pressure sensors, and motion sensors. And eventually, and he pokes to the board he's working on, and when you look at it, it actually looks like a map, and these LEDs are at specific points on this map. Once properly done, all the wires that connect the sensors to the maze to the bunker will connect to this board, and these LEDs will light up. He kind of blinks at one of them at what designated areas that they're moving in. Early warning system.
Elizabeth bends down and she'll say, "This is brilliant.
Yeah,
Who taught you this?"
yeah. No, I'm a mechanic by trade. Was
Mm-hmm.
oh, and with newer cars, you had to learn how to deal with electronics. And the idea came to me mainly with the fact that we are limited and we don't want to have too many advanced things that could be easily filtered with. So I thought about this in general. If you actually go to stores, you'll see little toys with motion sensors. I remember when as a child that played, if you're aware of the thing, the Power Rangers theme song if you walk past a certain sign. So instead of hooking up the electronics to put out sound, I'll just put out electrical signal through the wires to this board once I'm done. And the pressure sensors, again, a trivial thing you get to in a lot of electronic shops. It's very basic, very rudimentary, but it's relatively simple. It's hard to mess up, and it's hard to do improperly.
You can see Elizabeth look a bit to the right of you as she says, "I'll think we get along greatly." And she kind of nods and then looks back at you.
I hope so as well. Though, with your knowledge of medicine, if it's not in poor taste with you, I'm also planning at specific points, though he doesn't point out on the board, of installing pitfalls. They'll be laced with metal shrapnel and filled with grease, make it harder to get out, and also easy to ignite.
She nods.
If you know through any type of medical knowledge that they may be a better lubricant to deter our enemies, I'd be very much appreciated.
And she smiles up at you. "I'll look into it. If I find anything, I'll come back with it, okay?"
Thank you. And you said you're a child of Malkavian, correct?
She nods.
Have you spoke to Reginald?
She shakes her head.
And William kind of shakes his head a bit. I should actually explain. You know who that I'm trying to remember his last name is Reginald. Crap.
Dot dot dot.
Mm. Reginald is the Ancilla of the Malkavians. He resides in this bunker.
Ooh. Well, if that's the case, you must point him out to me.
I will. I actually am going to be visiting him. I have questions for him, and you might be interested in these questions as well.
If you were to introduce us, that would be great.
Very much so. I think it will be a very enlightening experience.
She smiles.
So, tell me, it's like, why did you want to become a surgeon?
Mm. She looks a bit um, self-conscious and somber. When when I was still a human, um, let's just say I didn't make the best decisions for my own life, and one day it almost costed me my existence. But thanks to this skilled surgeon, I'm now still. And she kind of chuckles. Well, I'm dead. I thought, what greater way to repay society than to become the one thing that saved me?
He nods at that. Like, I'm sorry I brought up a sensitive matter. And he kind of, the solder implant isn't on, though. And he starts to kind of point at his head. And he's like, when I was human, I was diagnosed with brain cancer at an early age. So, well, at the time, I took it relatively well, but I always had a fear of what it'll eventually do to me. Less the dying part, more of forgetting things and not being able to do certain things, depending on how it spread. But I did the best I could do with it. I followed my father's footstep, and when it comes to mechanics and engineering, I joined the kindred, or more or less, I was invited by the kindred due to an unfortunate circumstance. But I don't regret it. It saved me from the cancer, and it taught me many, many, many things.
Elizabeth nods. And she looks again a bit over your shoulder to the right as she says, "It's a good thing to have a strong bond with your father." And she just nods to herself.
So, me and my father were, I wouldn't say we were the closest, but I think we had a good understanding of each other.
Elizabeth just warmly smiles at you.
Well, so once I see Reginald, said I'll make sure to bring him with me to talk to you, Elizabeth, if you're not too busy.
Please do. For now, I don't really have any obligations apart from the mission that Isaac gave to my coterie.
I see. I'm curious, what quarter did you join, if you're willing to tell me?
Um, she kind of shakes her head. Not an existing one here. We got sent by your sires. They decided that it would be good for us to mingle with younger generations and for us to help aiding uh, the war against the Sabbat.
I see. Good experience. Makes sense. Well, I would say right now, if you feel comfortable, you could help me with some of the wiring around the bunker and the mazes. That's not too difficult. And when it comes to your knowledge, depending on once I gain more information, I'll have to put our heads together to better understand our enemy. Simply knowing Sabat isn't always good enough. And even if we know if they're what clan they come from, if we don't know the specifics of their typical patterns or their weaknesses, it can make things difficult. But I'm hoping with both our knowledges of our fellow kindred, we can better focus our efforts effectively.
She nods. That sounds like fun to me.
Good. Well, and he starts walking over. He gets up. Like, one moment. And as he leaves the room, about a few minutes later, he comes back and he has a coil of wiring. Like, if you would follow me, like, we can begin placing certain wires around the walls, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. And she takes the wire from you and walks after you.
And with that, would you like to end the scene, or do you have anything more you'd like to say?
No, that is fine for now. Well, thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, listeners, for listening. And this is where we'll end the scene. Goodbye.